Well, if last weekend's results are any indication as to what's going on with the reduction in the mortgage rates, we had a party. We had, I think, 6 out of 6 on the weekend. It was fantastic. And joining me here today to share in the stories is Greg Moulton. He's actually a great competitor of mine, and but also he's, importantly, the Real Estate Institute of South Australia's current president. Just came in. Welcome to the show, Greg.
G'day, Anthony. Thanks very much for having me.
Mate, good to see you, on our team. And
yeah, well, I took my Brock Harcourt's tie off, so here we go. Well, no, seriously, thank you very much, and this is absolutely fantastic.
Yeah. Now, Greg, just before we get into that, you are the new president. Congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
I hope you enjoy it.
Yes, thank you.
Give us a background to Greg Moulton pre-real estate.
Pre-real estate. I was a teacher, so right back in the Dindart days, I tried to make a bit of living out of tennis. Worked out pretty quickly that wasn't going to happen, so I hit the books for a little while, taught at Scotch College for a little while, and then a school down at Port Adelaide, which was an interesting experience.
How'd that go?
That was great. I've learned every swear word under the sun and met some very interesting people, but hasn't the port changed in the last few years? But look, fantastic grounding for what I'm doing now. Then I started selling real estate at 27 years old, 50 this year.
Is that right?
Yeah, so I've been in the game for a little while. Then worked for another of our competitors in First National before joining Brock's.
Good, yeah. Greg, just let's shoot the breeze a little bit. The people watching are people that own properties.
Sure.
Just tell us what's going on behind the scenes, the stuff that you can't read in the papers, with the Real Estate Institute and how you think things are tracking. So let's start with any big policy issues that might impact on the consumer?
Oh, look, it's really interesting, Anthony. We've been trying for a long time to be a little bit stronger voice, but also at the same time we're trying to balance the legislation changes. So as you know, it was about 3 years ago now, wasn't it, when the legislation came in to so-called sort out our industry and to make auctions transparent and 90 days for our sales agencies and things like that. We're going through a period where we can review that with the government. Now, we're certainly saying we need to protect the consumer as number one, so nothing major is going to change, but some of the implementation of that we think is a bit clunky. But on the other side of it, we think we're paying far too much stamp duty. Land taxes are far too high. They've taken away our first homeowners grants. So that's all had a negative impact. In fact, some of the money that should be staying in South Australia, we're seeing heading over to the eastern seaboard, which is just not good for us. So as 30% we estimate of income into the government's coffers comes from your industry, our industry, we think that we need to be a far stronger voice and actually take the government on in some of those types of issues.
Now, they've obviously lost revenue because the transactional rates are down about 20% to 30%.
30% is our last figures, yes.
Right, okay. Let's talk about the market. So the people watching here today, what can they expect when they're buying and selling? So let's say selling.
I think your honesty out in the marketplace is a breath of fresh air. You know, we're sick and tired of saying the market's okay and all that. It's not. If vendors want to sell their property, they have to meet the market. There's no point hanging around at prices that just aren't going to sell. And then on the other flip side, if purchasers want to buy property, get out there and make an offer. Don't sit on your hands and expect the market to come down ridiculously low. We think it's bottomed out. I'm not sure what your opinion is, but we think we're going to see times of consolidation that are certainly, look, behind the scenes, the frustration twofold. One, people just holding back, don't.
Yeah.
Vendors holding on to prices of 12, 18 months ago, don't. And then banks, for goodness sake, give us a break. You know, please free up some of your red tape and look favourably on some of these people that are trying to borrow some money.
Now, Greg, I hear stories, I haven't personally had the problem, but anecdotal stories from our team and also from the marketplace that the valuers are undervaluing properties. So a buyer's ready to buy it. It's a fair price, it's not over the top at all, but the valuers are running scared, so they're valuing under the value. Have you heard of that?
Haven't heard too much. That's been fairly traditional of valuers though, hasn't it?
Yeah, that's true, that's exactly right.
They seem to take a very conservative approach, but in a market like this, that can be really, really dangerous. Look, I hope the valuers just take it on face value. To me and you, Anthony, whatever somebody's willing to pay is the value of a property. Got to take that in consideration. I haven't heard that it's any worse than it has been, but certainly in a falling market, I can imagine them being even more conservative.
And first home buyers, where are they at the moment?
Look, they've dried up in our books. I'm not sure how they are in yours. We need to get that motivation back again. Because they have to borrow more money, because the first homeowners grant's obviously been pulled, they're taking longer to come back into our market, and we've found that's impacted all the way through. So, you know, if we can stir up, you know, when there's the good old days when that was there, that just, you know, it's just fantastic. Yes, the prices of that property did increase a bit, and that was just because of supply and demand, but it did flow all the way through our market. We're certainly missing that.
So the first home buyers, do you think that's the rain shadow effect of having the big stimulus that's now rebuilding the stocks of new, first home buyers?
Yeah, I think it certainly brought people forward, didn't it? You know, people that would have not come into the market for 12, 18, 24 months sort of came into the market with a bit of a rush. So we fully expected, 12, 18 months of that just rationalising out. That's happened.
Yep.
We now need, I think, a bit of a stimulus to get us going again. So.
Now, Greg, you're across the whole market as the president, but
Yes.
also, you've got a big organisation where you've got offices everywhere. How are the outer offices and regional ones going at the moment? Have they been doing tough?
Really tough,
Yeah.
Anthony. Look, no doubt the Iron Triangle, apart from Whyalla, where we've got a little bit of stuff actually happening with mining, and thank goodness for BHP out there, but Port Augusta and Wallaroo and those types of areas are finding it really, really tough. The big properties are still selling, from what I understand.
Oh,
So the
in the prestige?
agricultural land.
Oh, okay.
The agricultural land, the big land holdings, according to our landmark guys there and the elders guys, they still seem to be selling some of the big stuff. But the people that live in the towns and the regional areas are really struggling. I guess mining hasn't come on like it was going to. Some of the agricultural hasn't been. Some of the industry's been taken away. I don't know what your thoughts are on Gillard sneaking through a carbon tax, but I can see that having a negative impact while we all sort of rationalise that.
I'd rather not think about it, to be honest.
No, can't believe, no, there's going to be no tax, and then boom, through she goes. So that was an interesting one.
Greg, I'm just getting warmed up, but we'll come back to you at the end of near the end of the show,
Sure.
and we'll cover a bit more of this off.
Easy.
Okay. But in the meantime, let's go and have a look at some really good stuff, and that is the sold properties and with Going, Gone.